Hi, I'm Reggie and welcome to Read Tech. Today, we're going to make a video that is a follow-up to a previous video where I went through the process of setting up Pi-hole on a Raspberry Pi 4 using Docker Compose. And for a quick refresher, Pi-hole is a network-based ad blocker, basically. Instead of using individual, ad blocking or pop-up blocking apps, you can use something like Pi-hole and handle it at the network level. So in that video, I mentioned potentially adding Pi-hole permanently to my home network, and really this video is a result of me actually doing that and letting you guys know, and basically how I did it and how things are working so far with the solution. So one of the things that is critical almost to any network change that is going to affect the entire family is, what the heck is my wife going to think about it? And, the wife acceptance factor is definitely a critical point of, success or failure. And one of the things that we found out during this entire process is that Julie, when she does searches for products on Google, oftentimes she will hit the first couple of links that come back in those Google searches. And lo and behold, those search results are generally going to be ads, as well as the Google shopping page. There's something that goes through either Google Analytics. I haven't dug into it very deeply, but so those first ads that come back from Google searches are generally ad links, and those ad links are blocked. So you click on it and it comes up with nothing. And maybe I'll even show you guys what that actually looks like. But also, I determined that I was kind of doing the same thing by default. Now, the easiest thing to do is when search results do come up as ad links, generally, if you scroll down, you have the exact same links available in non-ad links. So I've basically already gotten used to scrolling down and just clicking the links. And for the most part, I haven't had any issues. And it seems to be generally working really well. So let's talk about how I actually added it, added the Pi-hole configuration. So I've got an Edge Router 4. In the last video, let me just back up just a little bit. In the last video, when I went through the process of setting up the Pi-hole on the Raspberry Pi 4, I mentioned that I was not going to use the DHCP server for the, that was part of Raspberry Pi, as part of the Pi-hole setup with Docker Compose. I prefer to use the DHCP server that's on my router. And in order to do that, on this particular device, and this, like I said, this is a Ubiquiti Edge Router 4, and it's going to be very similar, if not identical, from the UI to set this up with other Ubiquiti routers. And, in other routers, basically, if you go to the DHCP server setup, you have, a bunch of settings, and generally the DNS options are where you would put the Pi-hole server IP address. So in my case, it, it is a static IP address, but it's inside of the middle of the DHCP leases. But it is on, at 192.168.1.193. Previously, 192.168.1.1 was in the DNS1 slot, and that's actually the router IP address, and it is a caching only DNS server. So all of the requests go into the router, and if you end up using the caching DNS server, and it makes the queries out to other DNS servers, takes those responses back, and then passes them on to the clients. So the clients are using a local resolver as opposed to one that's out on the internet. So when we add the Pi-hole into the DNS1 slot, it becomes the preferred DNS server to use. And if that's the case, then we get the network level ad blocking that we actually want. So that is basically the setup. That's the only thing that I had to do. And either in my case, I basically waited until the DHCP leases expired and a new lease was sent out to all of the different clients on my network. And there are some that still haven't picked up the new settings with the new DNS server. So as you can see, we've got 45 DHCP leases active right now. And when we go to the Pi-hole dashboard, you can see that it is currently tracking 38 different clients that are making requests that are flowing through the Pi-hole dashboard. So I thought it was pretty interesting that, in total, it's already blocked over 20,000 queries, which represents 18.7% of the overall DNS traffic. And this is crazy that there are over 84,000 domains on the block list. So as you can see, we have a very active network. It's sizable. I've got a gigabit internet connection, so there's no real slowdowns at all. And it is very interesting to see that the top block domains, are Optimizely, never heard of that, but also device metrics, from Amazon, interesting. Incoming telemetry from Mozilla.org, the ever-present Google Analytics, and a smattering of others that are just out there. Appmeasurement.com. I'm assuming that there are lots of iOS apps and such that probably use that domain. It's pretty interesting. So again, this is live right now. You can look at the query log. Things are happening. So yeah, so far, all in all, to wrap things up, all in all, it's working great. I highly suggest this as a starter project for somebody that's, wanting to get into using a Raspberry Pi, but may not have, a good application in mind. So, we've got the tutorial video, and I'll make sure I link that in the description. If you need a Raspberry Pi 4, I will also leave a link to the Raspberry Pi 4 kit that I just picked up as an Amazon associate link. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with the Pi hole, and I think you will be too if you want to implement one. So if you like this type of content, please subscribe to the channel. We are in the final stretches of trying to get to 100 subscribers. It's a big milestone. I'll be able to get a channel specific URL. So if you could, it would really help us out if you would subscribe to the channel and like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, give us a thumbs down. I try to respond to all feedback. And if you have any questions, leave a comment. So again, thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.